Hi, I'm Tom from Gear4music and I'm joined by my friend Lucy from D'Addario, and we're going to be looking at the different ranges of D'Addario saxophone reeds. So many different ones here for so many different types of players, so we're going to help demystify all that and find out the next best reed for you. And if you enjoy this sort of content, don't forget to click like and subscribe. So Lucy, as I say, there's so many different reeds here. Where do you even begin?
I know, it really is a bit of a minefield, but we do have a lot of different reeds for lots of different playing styles, so there definitely will be something for you. I would like to kind of make a note and say that at D'Addario we have worked really hard to try and produce a consistent reed for the players out there. And we make all of our reeds using computer-controlled technology in a process called digital vamping. So all of our cane reeds are cut on machines and they go through rigorous quality control checks. And these cover a multitude of different things, but one of them is the fact that we try and work within some really tight tolerances. So what that means for you is that you're going to get more reeds out of the box that play exactly how you want them to. So for example, if you play on a strength 2, then you're going to be getting a lot more reeds out of the box that definitely are a strength 2 and not a little bit harder or a little bit softer.
Because that's the thing, you can get the box and think, that's a bit too soft, that's a bit too soft, that's a bit too hard. So you've only got, say, 3 to 5 sort of Goldilocks reeds, as it were, the ones that are just right for you. So ultimately that will save you money in the long run. So ching ching, better on the pocket.
Exactly, it's exactly what you want. Obviously we can't say that it's 100% consistent because cane is a natural product, but you will definitely be getting a higher percentage of reeds that play how you want them to.
Fantastic. So I can see here we've got some new design packaging. So that is for the organics?
Yes, so it's very exciting. We have recently launched our D'Addario Organics. So what this is we are the first certified organic reed brand on the market. So it's a promise that we've made is that we don't use any herbicides, pesticides or sprays in the cane growing processes. And this also transfers into when we are transporting the cane over to the US. We don't use any kind of sprays then either. So it's really just a lot better on the environment. And it's also very exciting because we've gone full circle and we have produced a paper reed holder. I know when I get out on the road and actually get to chat to players, they have a big question for them is also, when are you going to get rid of these plastic reed holders? And we have finally been able to do that.
They were like this, so it's quite different sort of seeing how they are. So I know this is a clarinet reed I've got here, but it is quite different, isn't it? It's going back to the old days, isn't it? I remember my teacher, when I was buying reeds off her when he first started, open it up, and then there they are, straight in the cardboard, in the plastic sleeves, the paper sleeves.
Exactly, so the reduction in plastic is going to be huge. Obviously, you can see that they are single wrapped in plastic here, but it's recyclable, and it just means that they, for hygiene reasons, and also when they're being transported into Europe, they're just going to stay nice and safe.
Fantastic. So I know having the paper isn't necessarily ideal for preserving your reeds in the long run, so when you're playing them. So it might be worth getting something like one of these reed guards. So I mean, this is a Voz one I've had for years and years and years, use it hundreds, thousands of times. So it's not single-use plastic like these ones are here. And there are quite a few different ones. So I've got another D'Addario one here. So this is one that I've got from yourselves. And it's really great at keeping your reeds flat and sort of help the moisture as well, isn't it? But so we're talking about moisture. So this is sort of where it's at, isn't it, really, in terms of the ultimate. So you've got the case here, which you could put the reed vitalizer in as well.
Exactly. So especially with the paper reed holders, but also kind of in general with all of our reed brands, that we suggest that you do kind of get them out of the paper or plastic reed holders and pop them into a reed guard or reed case, because they lie completely flat then and it prevents them from warping, which helps to elongate the life of them. And then kind of like, as you mentioned, with the reed cases, we have a humidity pack in them. So it keeps them at a 72% relative humidity. And what this actually means for you as a player is that it keeps your reeds nice and happy, so they don't dry out too quickly or they don't stay too wet. And again, it just makes them last longer.
Fantastic. So let's have a dive into the reeds themselves. So the first ones we've got here are probably familiar to every saxophone player out there. So the Rico and the Rico Royal. So can you just explain a bit more about who would want these?
So these are a fantastic option if you're just starting out on your saxophone journey and you need a good reed to start with, and these will be the ones for you because they have an overall really thin design. So it just means it's a lot easier to get the reed vibrating and to produce that sound. I would also kind of like to make a side note and say that they are not just a student reed. There are lots of professional musicians that use them because of the fact that they are so responsive, and so they can work with really like quite big tip openings for mouthpieces, and you're going to really easily get a nice sound.
So if you're playing on something like a tip 9 or 10 or something like that, you need something to really vibrate and be really responsive. So these will certainly be the way to go.
Yeah.
So I know we mentioned sort of big tip openings and things like that, so that's probably more for the jazz players, to be honest. So what else have we got in terms of the jazz?
So in terms of jazz, we've got the Voz here, and they just have a very slightly thicker blank, so maybe just gives you a little bit more tonal depth. And again, very nice and responsive, and a great option for you if you're wanting to progress into jazz. Then we have our plastic cover, and these are at the heart of it a royal reed, but they have a plastic coating on them, and this is great if you play in big bands, concert bands or marching bands, and you don't want your reeds to get affected by the changes in the weather or anything like that, so they'll just protect them slightly.
Because I do a lot of outdoor playing, so I've also got a plastic cover here, so you can actually sort of see the black sort of layer of plastic on here, so it's certainly noticeable, but it does help elongate the length of the reeds, because obviously if it's not going to be quite as affected by the extremes of temperature and weather.
Exactly.
And then we've also got the Hemke here.
Yes, so these were designed by Frederick Hemke, who was a very prolific classical saxophonist, and they have quite a thick blank, which gives you a really nice dark warm tone. And although they were kind of maybe designed with classical players in mind, they're also a really great jazz reed because they give you that nice dark tone.
Fantastic. So we've also got the reserve as well, which might be another option to look at down the classical routes.
Yeah, so these are a fantastic classical reed, and they will give you a nice centered tone, and they will really work for any situation. So if you're in, again, a concert band, a wind band, marching band, you'll be able to blend really nicely with with the section that you're sat in. But also if you're wanting to explore more into your solo repertoire and do more concertos, they will also be a great reed for you, and you'll really have a nice developed tone.
Fantastic. So then if you're sort of looking to be more of a jazz player,
Yep.
where would you look then?
Select jazz, like you say, it really does what it says on the tin. These are fantastic. So they have quite a thick spine and a shorter vamp, and basically what this means is that it's going to offer you a lot more projection.
Which is what you need if you're playing in those sorts of situations.
Exactly.
Say I play with a New Orleans style band, so it really helps to cut through.
Exactly. You're playing with lots of different musicians, like you might be playing with like a heavy brass section and you really want to be heard, but it gives you a really nice tone as well. It's really like a nice focused sound.
So I can see there's two different boxes. So there's one that is filed and one that is unfiled.
Yes. So the difference between filed and unfiled is the fact that a filed reed goes through a very, very slight extra cut and just shaves the top layer off. And for players, like some players personally find that it makes the tone a little bit brighter. For myself personally, I think it's more of a feel thing. So if you want a little bit more resistance, you might want to try an unfiled reed. But if you fancy a little bit more of a free blowing reed, then you might want to choose a filed. But like I say, some people think it affects sound and it's completely different to people. But
so that's very similar to the difference between the Rico and Rico Royal.
Exactly.
So it's similar sort of setup.
Yeah.
But the ultimate one, I think, on the end is the one that I'm the most excited by personally, and that is Venn.
Yes, it's very exciting. So it's our first synthetic reed that we have produced, and it's something that we're really proud of. So Jim essentially tasked our woodwinds team and said, I think you should produce a synthetic reed that sounds like a cane reed. And so they went away and have created Venn. And what they've done is reverse engineer the structure of cane. So Venn is made up of hundreds of layers of polyfibers that's all encased in resin, and there's real cane particles in there. So having the real cane particles in there means that it resonates more like a cane reed, and you kind of get that more natural sound, but you have all of the benefits of the synthetic reed.
So the best of both worlds, really, isn't it?
Really is, and it's a very versatile reed, so it will do all the jazz stuff, pop stuff, funk stuff, but it will also do really nice classical repertoire. And especially if you're playing it in like a pit band and you're chopping and changing between clarinet, saxophone, or different voices of the saxophone, you can just pick it up and start playing and it will respond
That's
immediately.
one of the things I like as well, and also playing outside, they're great having the synthetics.
Because that's the thing, they're durable, they don't get affected by the weather, and they are also super, super consistent. So whenever you pop that reed on your mouthpiece, it's going to start playing exactly how you want it to.
Even between the reeds as well. So if you get a new Venn reed, it will be identical box to box.
Exactly. So you just don't have to worry about that consistency.
I know one concern certainly around Venn is the fact that it is that bit more expensive. If you look at a cost of a single Venn reed compared to how much a single Rico reed is, for example, then there is obviously a price difference. But what I noticed is that they do last quite a lot longer than synthetic reeds. So, I mean, in my head, I kind of think one Venn reed is a similar cost to a box of 10 or 5 for tenner, and they last probably about a similar amount of time.
Exactly. We say that Venn lasts around 3 to 6 months, but obviously it depends on how often you're playing. So the way that you describe it, saying it lasts the life of a box of reeds, probably a little bit extra is the most simple way to kind of explain it, because you could be playing in your amateur band, like in your local band, a few times a week, or you could be practicing 5 hours a day. So
or you could be gigging on stage, really hammering it with extended techniques like slap tongue and really sort of put the reed through its paces.
Exactly. So it really covers a lot of different situations, but it will last a lot longer than one single cane reed will.
That's great. So just to have a quick recap, so you've got the Rico and Rico Royal that are ideal beginner reeds, but also great if you want to sort of get that quick, easy response as a pro player. Then you've got your Voz, sort of an introduction to jazz reed, basically. And you've got the Hemke, which again is sort of probably similar for the classical world. And then the plastic cover in the middle there that is great for outdoors because obviously the protection against the elements. And then you've got the Reserve, great all-round classical sound. And then the two different versions of Select Jazz, mainly for preference, to really sort of give you that cutting-edge sound through in the bands that you're playing with. And then great all-round synthetic reed, just does what you need it to.
Exactly.
Fantastic. So thanks, Lucy, for giving us that lowdown on all the reeds. So it's certainly helped to demystify everything that's going on with the reed world. So if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to click like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Thank you very much for watching.